Let's set the scene. An ordinary Tuesday evening. A man, 75 years young, sits in the quiet of a home he built. A widower for a decade, his life has settled into a rhythm as steady and unadorned as a well-crafted chair. Morning coffee, a daily walk, the evening news. His existence is not one of extravagance, but of earned contentment. For decades, he worked, saved, and sacrificed. He denied himself fleeting pleasures to secure a foundation, a sanctuary of peace and independence. This is the reward for a lifetime of diligence. Now consider this. In the span of a single year, this man, who often feels invisible to a world rushing past, received two separate proposals of marriage. Let that sink in. 2. The first was blunt, devoid of any romantic pretense. She was interested, she stated plainly, in the specifics of his pension and financial provisions. It was an honesty so cold it was almost admirable in its transparency. The second approach was softer, a gentle envelopment of attention and flattering words. Yet, to a man tempered by decades of life's realities, the essence was clear beneath the sweet fog. Her interest was not in him, but in the roof over his head, the security he represented. Look at this man. He is not a celebrity. He does not command a corporate empire. He wears the comfortable clothes of a life lived practically. He is, simply, a man who has lived long enough and wisely enough to have become, in the eyes of some, a resource. If you are a man around 60 years of age or beyond, if you have paid off your mortgage, if you have a stable retirement income and no burdensome debt, I need you to listen with both ears. You are next in line. You are currently occupying a risk category that society doesn't talk about at parties, a quiet vulnerability that newspapers rarely highlight. Today, we're going to have the conversation most people avoid. We're going to talk about the unsettling phenomenon of sudden visibility. We're going to dissect what happens when a man ages while maintaining his financial integrity. You become visible again, but this is not the vibrant, hungry attention of your youth. This is not interest in your energy, your dreams, or your raw potential. This is the calculated attention of an assessor surveying a stable, income-generating asset. Women who might not have glanced your way at 35 or 45 suddenly find you fascinating. Your silver hair is no longer just gray, it's distinguished. Your wrinkles aren't signs of age, they're maps of experience. You hear words like stable, grounded, reliable. It sounds like a symphony, doesn't it? A long-awaited recognition of your intrinsic worth. But let's pause the music and switch on the overhead lights. Let's translate that flattering lexicon into the language of cold reality. Those words, in this specific context, often translate to a single, stark meaning. You possess what they vitally need and have not managed to secure for themselves. Now hold on. Before we go further, I need you to smash that like button. Do it right now. This isn't for my ego. It's so the platform's algorithm pushes this crucial discussion to other men who need to hear it. Your one click can arm a fellow gentleman with knowledge. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because we tackle the real, unfiltered topics here. Let's be clear. I am not asking you to become a cynical hermit who sees a predator in every smile. It would be foolish and unfair to claim that every woman of a certain age is plotting to annex your assets. The world is painted in infinite shades of gray, not black and white. However, there are enough documented tragedies, stories that end with a devastated nest egg and a shattered spirit, to make a powerful case for healthy, intelligent caution. Those who engage in this dynamic, whether consciously or subconsciously, are experts at identifying your weakest point. They don't launch a frontal assault. They enter gracefully through the door you've left ever so slightly ajar, your loneliness. Let's be brutally honest, man to man. What has that loneliness felt like, year after year? For many, you transitioned from being a person to being a function. You were the provider, the fixer, the problem solver, the planner. You were the reliable mechanism that kept the family unit moving forward. Then, perhaps after a divorce, after the children built their own lives, or after the passing of a beloved spouse, you found yourself in a vacuum. You didn't vanish, but you became transparent. You walk through the grocery store and feel unseen. You sit on a park bench, and it remains a bench for one. Even at family gatherings, you can sometimes feel like familiar furniture, present, comfortable, but not actively engaged with. This isn't mere sadness. It's a slow erasure of your social persona. And this state does something dangerous to the male psyche. It creates a profound emotional hunger. So, when someone finally sees you, when a woman offers a warm smile, holds eye contact a beat too long, laughs genuinely at your joke, or places a casual, friendly hand on your arm, it feels like the first clear water after a long trek through the desert. In that moment, you are not a skeptic. You are not a forensic accountant. You are a thirsty man, and you drink. You drink deeply, gratefully, and with a fear that the well might run dry. This emotional hunger is precisely what the strategic opportunist banks on. But before we delve into the tactics, we must understand the driving force. Let's look at one statistical reality that explains the motivation better than any psychological theory. On average, women retire with 30 to 40% less in their retirement funds than men. That isn't a gap, it's a chasm. We could debate the reasons for hours: career interruptions, historical wage disparities, societal expectations. But at this moment, we're not interested in the why of sociology. We're interested in the so what of consequences. This financial shortfall is a concrete reality. It doesn't evaporate when you turn 65. Utility bills, property taxes, medical costs, and the prospect of living another 20 or 30 years loom large. What is a person to do when they look into their financial future and see a looming void? The instinct for self-preservation can point to a very logical solution: find a partner with a solid foundation. It's a docking maneuver for survival. This isn't mustache-twirling villainy. It's often cold, practical arithmetic. The problem is that this equation is frequently solved at your expense, and you are seldom shown the full formula before you're asked to sign. How then can you tell the difference between sincere affection and a calculated merger? How do you distinguish a companion seeking shared sunsets from one who is mentally redecorating your living room and adding her name to your insurance policies? This is exactly what we will break down, step by step, without sugarcoating. It's critical to understand one thing. Many women in this position do not see themselves as villains. They may see themselves as victims of circumstance, simply seeking safety and stability. Humanly, their fear is understandable. But that does not mean you are obligated to volunteer your life's work as a sacrificial offering to cover that shortfall. Understand the psychology. You may not be approached because you've suddenly become remarkably charismatic or because she has glimpsed your profound soul. You may be approached because you personify the one thing she lacks: a secure landing pad for her later years. You are, in a sense, a pension fund with a heartbeat. However harsh that sounds, holding this thought is a necessary, sobering agent. Why you? Why not a younger man or a peer with similar means? 1. Gratitude. After years of social invisibility, any positive attention feels like a gift. This gratitude can disarm your natural defenses and swing open the gates of your life and home. 2. Generational trust. You likely belong to a generation that values trust and wants to believe in the goodness of people. You want to believe she likes you, not your bank statement. This inherent decency becomes a vulnerability. 3. The uncomfortable truth. You are statistically closer to life's finish line. I say this not to depress you, but because it can be a cold part of the calculus. She may not need to tolerate your quirks for half a century. She may only need to be the legally recognized partner at the time of your passing. And demographics are on her side. I recall one man's story, shared with me, that is chilling in its simplicity. After a few months of dating, over a casual dinner, his new companion poured him tea and gently asked, "Sweetheart, have you thought about your will lately? Now that we're so close, maybe we should look at those documents together, so we're both protected." Consider the breathtaking audacity. The relationship was in its infancy, yet she was already attempting to graft herself onto the bedrock of his assets. This man was sharp. He ended it immediately. But how many others would have mistaken this for prudence and care? This is the art of camouflage. Predatory behavior is expertly dressed as domestic concern. But knowing why is only half the battle. You must know how to spot the signs. Let's get specific. 5 concrete signs that her interest is in your assets, not your essence. I'm not talking about a vague, bad feeling. I'm talking about observable, repeatable actions. Put your observational skills to work. Sign 1. The financial audit. Think back to your earliest interactions. Normal, getting to know you conversations revolve around interests, memories, stories, and preferences. The strategic approach is different. By the second or third meeting, between comments on the weather and the coffee, she slides in questions like, "So, are you fully retired now? That's a lovely home. Is it yours, or do you rent?" Questions themselves can seem innocent. Watch what happens next. If you give a vague answer, does she smoothly change the subject, or does she begin to dig? "Oh, owned outright. That's so rare these days. Are the property taxes high? Does your pension cover everything comfortably? Do your children help out, or are they independent?" She isn't making conversation. She is conducting due diligence. She is mentally filling out a profitability assessment for Project You. If the scan for solvency comes before she learns your middle name or whether you prefer dogs to cats, that's not curiosity. It's an evaluation. Did that first sign hit home? Have you ever felt like you were being interviewed by a loan officer instead of courted? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story could be the cautionary tale another man needs to hear. Sign 2. The one-sided ledger. Here is a critical question you must ask yourself while looking in the mirror. What is she bringing to the table? I'm not speaking of her lovely personality, but of tangible, material stability. What are her assets? Her savings? Her safety net? The pattern is remarkably consistent. She is often nearing or in her 60s. She possesses minimal assets, no clear financial plan, but an abundance of beautiful talk about building a life together. Let's engage that cynicism you've earned. You spent 40+ years building your foundation. What, precisely, is her equity contribution to this new partnership beyond companionship? Waking up at 75 to realize you have become the sole sponsor of someone else's comfort, receiving only company in return, is a prospect far colder than any winter. It becomes actively dangerous if she brings negative equity, hidden debts, maxed out credit cards, a reverse mortgage, or adult children who are a financial drain. This will be concealed until you are emotionally invested. Then comes the confession of a small problem, and you, feeling chivalrous, reach for your wallet. You may not realize you're not solving a one-time issue, but adopting a lifelong financial pattern. Sign 3. Isolating you from your security system. This is subtle, insidious, and highly effective. Pay acute attention to how she speaks about your family, particularly your adult children. It starts as seemingly affectionate concern for your autonomy. Your children are so protective of you, it's sweet. But you're a grown man. You don't need to report to them, do you? Then it progresses to gentle nudges away. Maybe we should skip the family dinner this Sunday. Just have a quiet time for us. I feel so peaceful when it's just the two of you. Finally, it can escalate to overt criticism and accusation. Your son asks so many questions about our plans. Does he not trust me? He seems very focused on money. Is that what he's worried about? Do you see the masterful projection? She accuses your children of the very motive driving her, an interest in your resources. Your children are your natural defense network. They are not clouded by new romantic feelings. They see an interloper moving too fast, and their alarms sound. A woman with genuine intentions will make an effort to connect with your family. An invader will work to build a wall, isolating the asset from its protective influences. We're halfway through. If this is resonating with you, if you feel this information has value, do me a huge favor. Share this video. Share it directly with a friend, a brother, a father, or in a group chat. You might be safeguarding more than just his peace of mind. Sign 4. The rush to legal entanglement. In relationships measured in decades, discussions about wills and joint assets are a normal part of estate planning. If you've known each other for 6 months and she is already steering conversations toward property deeds, beneficiary forms, or co-ownership, consider it a skyscraper-sized red flag. Listen for the phrasing. "Darling, if we're truly a family, shouldn't everything be shared? I feel like a visitor in your home. I want to feel like it's our home. What if something happens to you? I could be put out on the street the next day. Wouldn't it be safer if my name was on the title?" She is leveraging both pity and your sense of decency. She makes you feel guilty for your hard-won prudence. History is littered with tragedies where a man, in a surge of emotion and a desire to demonstrate trust, added a new partner's name to a deed or will. When he passed, his biological children were disinherited, and a lifetime of accumulation passed to a virtual stranger. Remember, paper is power. Never relinquish that power simply to purchase a night of apparent harmony. Sign 5. The vulture's impeccable timing. Cast your mind back. When did she first appear in your life with this new intensity? Was it shortly after your spouse's funeral? In the raw aftermath of a painful divorce? During your recovery from a major health scare? This is not coincidence. These are moments of maximum vulnerability. When you are grieving, frightened, or drowning in silence, your defenses are shattered. You are open. The professional opportunist, whether a conscious hunter or a subconscious one, knows this. They monitor social cues, obituaries, and community gossip. The neighbor who just happens to bring over a casserole 3 days after the funeral. The old acquaintance who spontaneously calls when she hears you're alone. Ask yourself the hard question. Where was she a year ago? Where was she when your life was full and your heart was intact? If her presence blooms from the ashes of your personal disaster, it is not fate. It is strategic targeting disguised as serendipity. Where does all this lead? The widowhood strategy. A common misconception is, I'll just get a prenuptial agreement. I'm protected. This misses the fundamental strategy. She doesn't necessarily want a divorce. Divorce is messy, expensive, litigious, and uncertain. It involves lawyers, judges, and divided assets. Those playing the long game for high stakes often don't plan for divorce. They plan for widowhood. Women, on average, live longer. This is a biological and statistical fact. If she is even 5 to 15 years younger, time is her silent ally. She simply needs to be the legal spouse or co-owner at the moment of your passing. Then, there is no battle. There is a quiet, administrative transfer of ownership. The house, the accounts, the investments, they flow to her by operation of law. She doesn't need to be clever in court. She needs only to be the grieving widow with the correct legal documents. The most psychologically complex part? She may be genuinely kind to you throughout. She may cook wonderful meals, provide care, and offer companionship. This does not negate the underlying reality that, for her, this can be an investment project with a calculable return. You can tend a garden for the love of it, or you can tend it intending to sell the produce. The actions are identical. The motivation is fundamentally different. She is not a cartoon villain. She is a pragmatic individual solving her problem of security, and you are the apparent solution. In her own mind, she has likely justified it. I've had a hard life. I deserve this. I'm giving him good years. It's a fair exchange. Your defense strategy, regaining control without retreating from life. The goal is not to become a bitter recluse. It is to engage with the world from a position of strength, clarity, and self-preservation. 1. Time is your supreme ally and filter. A person with a timeline, even a subconscious one, operates with urgency. She needs to secure her position before your emotional fog clears and your logical mind re-engages. Therefore, you must radically slow the pace. Date. Enjoy conversations. Go to concerts. But establish firm, non-negotiable boundaries. No cohabitation for at least 1 full year. No mingling of significant finances for 2 years. No marriage without extensive, independent legal counsel. Observe her reaction to this deliberate pace. A woman who wants you will understand and wait. A woman who wants your resources will pressure you, manufacture crises, or vanish to find a more pliable target. Time is the great revealer of true motives. 2. Enlist your family as your advisory council. Reverse the isolation tactic. Insist on integrating her into your existing family circle. Bring her to gatherings. Encourage her to interact with your children and siblings. Do not dismiss their concerns as jealousy. They have your long-term interests at heart and are not blinded by infatuation. A single, offhand observation from your daughter, "Dad, she seems really focused on your finances," can be worth more than a team of private investigators. Listen to them. 3. Conduct a polite, firm counter-audit. If she feels entitled to probe your financial health, you have every right to understand hers. After a reasonable period, it is perfectly fair to ask, "So, how have you planned for your own retirement? Do you have any outstanding obligations I should be aware of?" Pose these questions calmly and directly. A transparent, secure person will answer matter-of-factly. Someone with hidden agendas or debts will often become defensive, angry, and accuse you of being mercenary or distrustful. That reaction is your answer. 4. Perform a clear-eyed cost-benefit analysis. A profoundly wise comment I once read stated, "It's amazing how much less money I need to be happy when there is no woman in my life." This isn't about miserliness. It's about honest accounting. What is this relationship costing you? Not just in money, but in peace, freedom, autonomy, and stress. If the exchange feels mutual, enriching, and balanced, that is wonderful. But if you are essentially subsidizing another adult's lifestyle at the expense of your own hard-earned serenity, you must ask, is this the brilliant final chapter one worked my entire life to write? 5. Trust your hard-earned instinct. You are over 60. You have navigated boardrooms, battlefields, construction sites, or whatever your arena may have been. You have been fooled before, and you have learned. Your gut feeling is not a phantom. It is your subconscious mind integrating decades of pattern recognition at lightning speed. If something feels off, it almost certainly is. Do not let anyone, especially the person causing the feeling, gaslight you into believing you are paranoid, broken, or afraid of love. They will attack your trust in yourself to make you easier to manage. Your intuition is your final and most reliable guardian. Let's pull this all together. The uncomfortable truth may be this. She doesn't want you, the 70-year-old man with your specific history and habits. She wants the comfort, safety, and stability that you, through decades of discipline, created for yourself. This doesn't make her evil. It makes her a human being, sometimes a desperate one, looking for a solution to her own problem. But you are not a solution. You are not a life raft. You are not a supplemental retirement plan. You are the captain of your own ship. You built it, plank by plank, through storms and calm seas. You alone have the right to decide who comes aboard for the journey and under what terms. Your peace of mind, your silent morning coffee, your unshakable knowledge that your legacy will pass to your children or the causes you choose. These are non-negotiable treasures. They cannot be traded for the temporary and often illusory feeling of being needed. If these words have struck a chord with you, if you see your own reflection in this portrait, I need you to act. Hit the like button with purpose. Subscribe to this channel for more unvarnished truths about navigating life's later chapters with wisdom and vigor. But most importantly, share this discussion. Send it to every man you know who is in this season of life. Post it. Talk about it. Break the silence. Your vigilance is not paranoia. It is prudence. Your caution is not cynicism. It is intelligence. Your peace is not negotiable. It is your ultimate reward. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you encountered these dynamics? Do you have a story or a warning for other men? The comment section is open. Share your experience. Let's build a fortress of shared knowledge. Take care of yourselves, gentlemen. Guard your freedom. Protect your legacy. And move forward with your eyes wide open. Be happy, be smart, and be strong. I'll see you in the next video.